let's see. It had disconnected. Let's see if we can get you back. Okay, hopefully we're back up. For some reason, OBS disconnected on YouTube. But hopefully we should be good again here. Okay, so let's continue. All right, again, we have the right to peacefully assemble. Well, a reminder of assembly participation and behavioral guidelines, and a reminder that when you see this type where it's got the white background and it's got a photo in that concept, the credit goes to the course that's being put together by the Federation. That's how to build the assembly. So these are points where I'm going ahead and bringing in as it's in development. And again, because this is all a work in progress, we'll keep moving forward and course correct as we go. And from Article 30.22, focus for assemblies. Don't let new people come into your assembly and commandeer it with their ideas about how things should be and how things should be run. Nationality is a birthright. Assembly membership is a choice. If they want to join, fine. Put them to work, but also set boundaries. Okay, and you can read further into that. All right, so we have that I am the state coordinator and welcoming everyone. Again, not sure if Joe is going to be able to make it or not. Haven't heard from him. He is very busy. He is our area Postal 4 chief for Area 4. Which is Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, and Michigan, as well as he is the PKTF executive director. So he is very busy, as well as he does have a full-time work that he does as well, because we're all doing this as volunteers. So please note that if you're looking for a full-time paid position like the de facto has out there, it's not here. Okay, at least not right now, because there is not a budget yet. There isn't a steady flow of funding to come in to support any salaries. So this is all based on volunteer, and that's why it's all part of our pursuit to be able to bring forth the Republic. You'll read it in the Declaration of Independence, the very last line. All right, this evening's agenda, we're going to go through the common law. A few more pages within there. We're just chunking away at that. That's one of the articles that Anna has presented in her article, or one of the resources to look at in her Article 4400, our courts, for training for our court process. More on key officials needed ASAP. Current articles from Anna. And then if Joe is able to make it, he will be able to speak. Otherwise, we will briefly go through these items that he is diligently seeking right now to support us. All right, and then just so we make sure that we do have our adjournment dates, the next General Assembly is adjourned until February 19th, which is next week, and the next Jural Assembly is February 26th. 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. All right, coordinator's mission. We cannot fail. We are willing and able to do this work physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We have the resolve and determination. We walk the talk and work every day to bring the de jure into reality. We have excellent tools to complete our work. We set realistic and achievable goals. We learn and research constantly. We have a timeline of this year. We track our progress. We measure our strengths and weaknesses. We continually improve and revise accordingly. We conduct ourselves with peace and love. Reminders of spotting infiltrators. What we're doing here is so big, so important, so powerful that there are those who would like to see us fail. Some can be highly trained and well-paid operatives with the patience to carry out a long-term plan of disruption. Some have personal agendas of gaining positions of power and control. Both are adept at which there is no power seat in any of this. no, which would then imply that there shouldn't be any level of control other than the people having the control and wielding the power themselves. Both are adept at concealing their actual motives, easily gaining our trust with charisma and so-called leadership skills. They may repeatedly lie, manufacture truths, twist or bend the actual truth, speak half-truths, or omit truth to gain advantage. On the other hand, some may be assembly members who have been easily manipulated, bribed, paid, or duped into aligning themselves into the higher level infiltrators. And so, and then you can see that there are other red flags. After the call, the PDF, so that I can include any that did present their name on the in any of the chats to include for the record for the agenda. But the PDF then after the call the link will be posted in the YouTube comments. In the YouTube description, and then of course on the Assembly website with the link to the recordings. All right, here are some classic signs: wanting to attack the leaders, coordinators, ANA, attacking the foundational documents, the paperwork. And you can read the others there, and of course more details there. And this is coming from Article 3374, and there's a link directly to that article. The Indiana Assembly mission statement. Let's take a moment. Is there it would help if I actually hit send on my own comment for the why is that not working? Oh, I have to do it. Oh, it did send. Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead with the mission statement. Our Indiana Assembly is dedicated to the restoration of a complete and fully operational land and soil jurisdiction, state and county court system serving the people of Indiana. This is the Jural Assembly, right? The preservation of the national trust, the enforcement of the public law, the upholding of the federal constitution owed to our state and people, the repopulation of our land and soil jurisdiction, the filling of vacated public offices, and the reclamation of our material and intellectual public and private assets. 7 areas that is our focus. To these ends, we, the living people of Indiana, have called the eligible Indiana nationals and citizen electors to assemble and to serve as jurors and officers, and we have established the process and procedure to qualify jurors and others competent to hold state citizenship and public office. We do this peacefully and without rancor in the exercise of our unincorporated powers and capacities. Then our outreach mission. Our mission is to help people understand who they are and why they are misidentified as U.S. citizens of the United States, and provide a solution by correcting their political status, joining the Indiana Assembly, including home county assembly, and becoming actively involved in restoring the Republican form of government we are owed. We do this through a combination of consulting, facilitation, and training services that provide the optimal benefit to the future American. To assist future Americans, we offer a range of opportunities designed to live like an American. High-impact video conferencing, a turnkey political correction process, web-based libraries, local assembly meetings, state assembly meeting, continental marshal and deputy programs, state and county committees. Value statements. We stand under the laws of nature. The laws of nature is God, the 10 Commandments, the Declaration of Independence. We accept the fiduciary responsibility of the Indiana Trust and operate under the prudent man's standard, meaning we treat our state business as if it were our own business, but not with personal gain and personal interest within that. We keep the peace and uphold the public law. We report crime. We value each man and woman as a unique creation of our Creator and recognize them as a powerful co-creator. We willingly choose to self-govern and strive to show up as our best self in each and every experience. We do not and will not condone or participate in any form of insurrection, rebellion, or creation of armed forces other than the lawful state assembly militias operated as they're supposed to be operated within each state, and our land-based Continental Marshal Service, which is our jurisdictional interface with the U.S. Marshal Service. And I am not able to move that box for free conference call. So I can't exactly, but you'll be able to see it in the PDF presentation. But we perform under the treaties and constitutional agreements already established, and to be able to move forward with that. Okay. And then here are important documents for Indiana: the Assembly Affirmation of Purpose and Conduct, your contact info for the Assembly, so that it can be so that there's contact information, because all branch areas except business assembly, unless you are a citizen, we need to have that contact information for you, as well as for the militia, to be able to start creating a communications chain, so we can start sending out information across the state. In Indiana Assembly Men and Women Points of Order, the Assembly Militia Standards and Principles, committees, the way we work, recommended committee structure template, standard operating procedures template, the call to public office, and of course assembly offices. And here are two articles. Well, it's the videos where the articles were put to audio for Article 4632. Yes, there is a public duty, and Article 3071, your public duty. And those are key for what we the people really means, that goes beyond the armchair quarterback, as Anna puts it. Here are links to, this is the Law of Peace. This is the Community Law Community Training Manual that we will be working through today. A link here, as well as there'll be another link where we're when we get to that part of the presentation. Here's also reminders that you have three choices. You can either purchase status correct and support the state assembly for land and soil jurisdiction, or you can go to district or municipal assembly. Still status correct, but then go to support in a district or municipal assembly, and that will give you more information about that. Warning signs that you have district infiltrators, and that went into more details earlier on in the presentation here. The American Way, as well as Public International Alert for state assemblies. All right, let's see if there are any questions, comments. I'm not seeing any. All right, we'll keep going. Here are, there's a plan for November 11th of 2024 to visit Faith Monument in Plymouth, Massachusetts, Plymouth, I want to say. And here are two videos by Kirk Cameron that gives more details about Faith Monument. Here are communication links with the assembly for Telegram. Cloud Hub, I'm still trying to figure that one out, but we're over there. And then of course there's the Linktree link for all the links. All right, and here's a reminder of what the three branches of the American government are. This is the piece that we are working on for our postal courts. All right, and then so we're getting into the reminder of what our assemblies are supposed to be doing. So here is Article 2905, Organizational Goals for State Assemblies. It goes into General Assembly, International Business Assembly, and we want the reminder here for the Jural Assembly. Everyone serves as a juror and is a member of the jury pool. As part of the Jural Assembly, again, state nationals, state citizens are both eligible to decide cases involving in-state issues, while state citizens alone hear cases involving international subject matter. Okay, and note, everyone serves as a juror does not mean that everyone actually gets assigned to a case and serves on a jury. Rather, that all American state nationals and American state citizens are automatically part of the jury pool from which jurors are chosen and may be asked at any time to serve on a jury. Jurors will, of course, have to be qualified before a trial to rule out any conflicting interest. They can, of course, opt out, but it is important to remember it's your public duty to serve as a juror when it's appropriate. All right? And then, of course, Assembly Militia, because it's in every aspect of all four pillars. And that is everyone, male and female, men and women, who is fit and between the ages of 21 and 45, eligible to serve as part of the Assembly Militia. And there's actual official roles within the Assembly Militia, as well as then there are supporting roles and administrative roles. There are various types of roles within the Assembly Militia, so don't think it's that you got to dress out in fatigues and go for training. That's not what this is. That's very, very limited, very specific within more of the peacekeeping aspect. But it's also, as Terry on Washington State puts it, that if it doesn't matter what age, as far as how old, as long as if you can pass a bottle of water to someone, then you can support the militia. And that would be a method, that would be a support services role, right? All right, we'll keep on going. Let's see if there were any comments, questions. No? Okay. All right. Get back to this. All right, a reminder of more information about the four pillars. Florida put this together, so here's a link of High Drive that where it has Indiana information in it. But this was a great chart, and I didn't want to adjust so much of it, but it gives you the different perspectives of state, national, or compared to a registered citizen or a government citizen. All right, and then this was a great pick, I thought, that from the how to build an assembly. That the reminder, although this is for the Jural and the Militia Assembly, it all starts in the General Assembly. It's the actual driver of all of it. And you see right here at the bottom that the Jural Assembly is that centerpiece. Okay, and then here again is more on the four pillars. The Jural Assembly provides the court services and oversees the grand jury, trial juries, officers, and functions of the courts. Here again are the four pillars with more of the different roles within the four pillars. So for the Jural Assembly, you'll see there, of course, is the jury pool. That's why it's the first one there. It's based on common law, so there will be a Chief Justice, the Secretary, there will be a Marshal at Arms, Sheriff, so that because each pillar will have a Marshal at Arms. And then there's a state, the General Assembly is the state Marshal at Arms, I want to say. And they may be the one that fills the Marshal at Arms for the other three pillars. We'll learn more as we go. But there will be a Marshal at Arms that serves for the Jural Assembly. The sheriffs are housed, so to speak, within the Jural Assembly. There's a bondsman, deputy sheriffs, coroner, Marshal at Arms, county clerk, and I'm not able to see the rest of that, but you'll be able to see it in the presentation. So that gives you a little more from that chart perspective. All right, so now I haven't updated the numbers over here on the number chart as far as how many, because Marion County just increased. We want it. Welcome home, Faith and Anthony on Marion County. They just were welcomed home last night, so we want to welcome them. So I haven't updated this chart yet to be able to include those details. But here is where those counties that are in yellow have at least spoken up and said, hey, I'm at least interested in more information. But no one has papered up on those counties yet. The ones in the orangish color, at least there's only been one that is papered up on that county, and we're looking for 2, and that's where the ones with the green have 2, at least 2, and you'll be able to see more on that chart as to how many on the green counties as well. And at this point in time, we have 31 counties in process. There are 16 that have 1 populated, and then there are 15 counties that have more than 2, because we want to at least have 2 to be able to start that, because then that county assembly can also start being able to build with the state alongside the state assembly. And then there are 30 counties that no one has spoken up on yet. So if you're in a surrounding county on the green or the brownish orange color, if you're on a surrounding county that's white and even yellow, go reach out. We're all members of outreach, right? Every one of us. All right, so we're going to go over now to, and I'm going to remember that we're on slide 25. So when I come back to this, I have to manually click back to it. So we're going to stop this, and we're going to go to pages. I really hope that was recording.
This session is no longer being.
Oh.
The recording has started.
Okay, so there may be 2 links. I just want to, it doesn't say recording, it just says record. Okay. I apologize for that. Okay, so now we're going to read pages 5 to 7 in the community training manual here. So I hope I'm going to be able to see enough of it. I wonder if I can adjust. Oh, that makes it a little bit bigger, but not much more. Okay. Matters before a common law court. Let's check real quick if there's any comments, questions. Not seeing any. Okay. We'll continue. All right, so matters before a common law court. Traditionally, law in the European tradition falls into 2 general categories, civil and criminal law. The former deals with disputes between individuals, often called tort offenses, or issues of negligence which cause harm. Criminal law deals with acts of international harm to individuals, but which, in a larger sense, are offenses against all people because they somehow threaten the community. Arising as a defense against absolutism in state or church tyranny, the common law traditionally has dealt with criminal law matters that crown or canon law courts refuse either to address or do so in a restricted manner, including murder, rape, warfare, and other crimes against the community. But civil matters of personal disputes may also be brought into a common law court, which after all claims universal jurisdiction over all legal matters within a community. Indeed, because common law is rooted in the jury system, what better forum can there be for the settling of civil matters between individuals than a trial before one's own neighbors? For our purposes, however, the major focus of litigation before the common law courts will be on criminal law and matters involving serious threats or crimes made against people, animals, communities, and the environment. As in any lawful system, the burden of proof in any such litigation brought before the common law court will be on the plaintiffs, those bringing the lawsuit. The normal rules of evidence will apply. For example, allegations against a party cannot be made in court without there being a basis in provable facts, such as primary documentation that is certified by an independent party or by producing eyewitnesses to the alleged crime. Another crucial rule of evidence is the inadmissibility of hearsay evidence, as in, no, I wasn't there, but I heard about what happened. This is an especially relevant rule when it comes to the commission of serious crimes such as murder, genocide, or rape. In short, any allegation must be backed up with provable facts and must be made by one who was a direct participant in or eyewitness to the event. Okay, I'm going to switch real quick over to here to get that last paragraph. For purposes, it must be noted that in the case of especially monstrous corporate crimes committed by governments or other powers, such as wars of aggression, genocide, or human trafficking, normal rules of evidence are less stringently applied. This is because of a realistic understanding that crimes committed by entire societies or regimes are of a different nature than crimes by isolated individuals. A different set of norms regarding intent and provable evidence applies. In the words of the chief American prosecutor at the Nuremberg trials in 1946, Robert Jackson, no regime that seeks the experimentation of entire groups of people generally retains written proof of their intent to commit this crime. Considering the murderous nature of their regime, there is no need. Since such extermination is not considered a crime, nevertheless, even such a system seeks to fog and dissimulate the evidence, and especially during wartime. The proof of crimes against humanity generally lies not in documents, but in the witness of survivors, in mass graves, and in the implied proof of the intent to commit these crimes contained in the everyday and institutionalized laws, attitudes, and norms of the murderous regime. Our emphasis. Implied intent is a legal concept especially relevant and especially to litigation involving genocidal regimes, including governments and churches whose worldview and laws consider other groups to be unworthy of life or equal rights. Such as, there I go, trying to do too many things at once. Such as groups that were tried and sentenced in the first case of the International Common Law Court of Justice concerning the genocide of indigenous peoples in Canada by church and state. And here's a link to www.itccs.org. Laws such as the Indian Act of Canada, which impose a different set of laws on a racially targeted group, or the Roman Catholic canon law called Crimen Solicitationis, which condones and facilitates the concealment of child rape within the church, indicate a clear implied intent to commit and abet criminal acts. That is, it is unnecessary to prove the individual intent to harm children by Catholic priests, since under their own self-governing rules called canon law, every priest is systematically required to harm children by aiding those who do so if he is to retain his job and ordination. The collective guilt of these clergy as a whole is implied and clear, just as it was concerning all of the servants of the Nazi regime. Thus, while normal due process requires that the prosecution prove that the accused committed an act and did so with deliberate intent, such an intent may be also assumed to exist by the larger context of a crime, especially when that crime is perpetuated by entire organizations or regimes. Ascertaining the truth is always laborious, but ultimately the process is best guaranteed by a body of jurors than single adjudicators. Common law juries and not individual judges are invariably a better guarantee against the abuse of rules of evidence and just procedure in a courtroom. Self-governing judges are notoriously prone to corruption and political manipulation, and when appointed by the very governments under criminal investigation, are obviously unsuited to the task of rendering a fair judgment. In fact, under legal procedures such as state-appointed judges have no jurisdictional competence to rule on the criminality and guilt of their employers. Judges routinely waive just procedure and rules of evidence and are authorized to do so by statute law. In Canada, Crown-appointed judges even have the power to alter or destroy court records, silence one party in a dispute, and ignore due process altogether. The whole point of establishing a jury-run common law court is to prevent such a manipulation of the law and justice by unaccountable parties or vested interests. It is not accidental that the founding father of the American Republic, John Hancock, declared in 1777, quote, "If we have not courts that are established and maintained by the people rather than by bribable judges, then we will have no republic. Our Constitution and our nation will rise or fall according to the independence of our courts." End quote. All right, so that was that reading, and we'll move forward in the presentation. I'm not seeing Joe. I hope everything is okay. I haven't heard, but I'm not teching it so much. All right, so we'll get the presentation up, and we are on 25. So it'll take a moment. And again, there was a table of contents added in, and those items that you see with those creative characters like this, the white background, that's from the training that is being created by the Federation of how to build an assembly. And we'll get to, that's the awkward thing about this, but at least it does share through each element. Oh, that's Joe. Hold on, let's see while we're switching slides here. We'll see how this goes here. Oh, he's on Telegram. All right, great job. Thank you. Okay, so we have Joe on Telegram, so that'll be fun. I'm not sure how, we'll have to see how that'll work once we get there, but I'll briefly wrap up where I'm at so we can have time to see how we can connect with Joe here. All right, so we've just went through Matters Before a Common Law Court, pages 5 and 7. And so then here is more details about the Jural Assembly, going into Article 1501 for all Jural Assemblies. The job of the State Jural Assembly is to organize and repopulate the land and soil jurisdiction of each of the American states, and then to finish the reconstruction of the federal states of states so that our government is restored to its intended form and fully functional. Okay? So bear that in mind. So the Jural Assembly are the organizational units of land and soil jurisdiction courts. During the assembly phase, the Jural Assembly bears the responsibility of getting the courts up and running, going through, seeing what each of the steps are, and putting each of the pieces together. There are special meetings organized by active members of the Jural Assembly, all of whom are members of the jury pool, able to serve on both the grand jury and trial juries or as officers of the courts. Okay, so state or county. So state Jural Assembly members are by default county Jural Assembly members. If you think about it, if you live on a particular state, you also live on a county within that state, right? And then about our American courts. Ultimately, we will have all of the following courts set up. And these are the courts: state grand jury and trial courts that's operating under American common law. These will be mirrored in each county with jurisdiction limited to the county. State grand jury and trial courts operating under international mercantile law, handling international trade issues. And then the postal area grand jury and trial courts, operating under international land and mercantile law, handling international crime issues. This is where the marshals take their cases. So who is eligible? All state nationals and state citizens are members of the jury pool and a part of this Jural Assembly. State nationals and state citizens are both eligible to decide cases involving in-state issues, while state citizens alone hear cases involving international subject matter. Then we have the various different offices, and with declarations as opposed to oaths. So there, of course, is the Justice of the Peace. There's a Jural Assembly Secretary that functions may include keeping minutes and recording of assembly meetings for the Jural Assembly meetings. Then, of course, there's a recorder. Here goes into lengthy detail from Article 1516 for the Jural Assembly recorder. Then, of course, there is the court clerk. Extensive, good qualities of a good court clerk. Extensive knowledge of jurisdiction. Very organized. Don't mind paperwork. Article 1539 goes into more details about court clerks. Then, of course, there is the bondsman. And that continues with Article 1539. Bondsmen are the land counterparts to the bailiffs in the sea jurisdiction court. This is a role at the court level to take charge of prisoners and ensure their safety and good conduct while in court. They maintain the security of the actual courtroom and direct traffic within it. And you can read more through that one as well. The coroner is housed within the Jural Assembly, and here is more details about the coroner from Article 1528, which is also in the Jural Assembly handbook. So then we also have the sheriffs within sheriffs and their deputies, and that would be Article 1526. Sheriffs exist only at the county level. The state can have troopers or rangers, but no sheriffs. And the sheriff is the highest ranking law official in the county, above de facto leos and district officials. Our sheriffs are public peacekeeping officials as opposed to law enforcement officers, which are the de facto sheriffs. Here is a list of the authority pyramid for the actual American states. So county sheriff, it shows the top of the chart here. Then there's the state militia at arms, state militia commander, state troopers or rangers. Then there would be the LEOs, the private Pinkerton sheriff. So above all of them are the land and soil jurisdictions. And you can see the rest of that. And then you can see within each piece in standing, it must be understood that the authority these officials and officers have depend upon where they stand. Right? Jurisdiction, where are you and where you're standing in that moment. Okay, so these local state peacekeeping forces have traditionally gone by a variety of names. Troopers and rangers, for example, like their counterparts, these men and women derive their authority directly from the state Jural Assembly. And while on state land, they traditionally have absolute peacekeeping authority over everyone but the county sheriff, and in some states, the state militia commander. A sheriff only acquires these powers when there is an active qualified state Jural Assembly present in the state. Read more about sheriffs as well as the role of federal marshals and provost marshals in Article 1526. And this goes into more detail about the emblem of the 5-pointed star for the sheriff. Qualities of a good sheriff: strength, honor, integrity, trustworthiness, reliability, patience, tact, humility, respect for all others, knowledge of common law. Eligibility: the county sheriff is an American state citizen position which requires completion of the 928 documentation package, no dual citizenship, no licenses that create divided allegiances. And of course there's additional vetting from at some point within there. And here are the different committees within the Jural Assembly. This is the core ones: court venue, law education, jury pool, court oversight, sheriff's committee, coroner's office, litigation, and land patent committee. So who's in the jury pool? All American state nationals and American state citizens. So you'll need to present that you're a state national or state citizen. So the minimum of that you live on Indiana, 2 witness testimonies, birth certificate, 1779 or 928s, and then depending if it's international, then you would have to be a state citizen with all the status, all the notices served and cancellations. Anyone in the jury pool may be contacted and asked to participate in a jury, which is also another reason why the contact information card is important, so that we have your details for the jury pool. The jury is selected through a vetting process at the time of a trial. Questions appropriate for that particular trial will be asked in order to determine if there is conflict of interest that would disqualify someone from participating in the jury. A jury of peers is chosen by the jury pool committee. While actively serving on a jury, a juror maintains a temporary American state citizen status. Those who cannot serve on a jury include court officers presiding over or assisting with the court proceedings, such as the justice, court clerk, bondsman, jural secretary. Nationals or citizens involved in the case itself or having conflicting interests, such as being related to someone in the case or being a witness in the case. And that little box, I can't move that box, so I'm not. So I would say they're not eligible. But in the presentation, you'll be able to read it. Okay, so now last week we did go through in the General Assembly through the Assembly militia details, so you'll have this in here as well, and going into more details about sheriffs within. And then, of course, who is eligible for the militia, and the militia is a standing committee of the whole as well, because it's part of the General Assembly, right? Here's information about the militia coordinator role. And then here are the different officers' roles, and whether an ASN or ASC is needed for the different roles. Here are Anna's articles for the past week since last week, trying to help keep you up to date with those. All right, so let's see if I can, let me do a quick wrap up. We would just want to do a reminder that here's the med beds detail, and if you wanted to support bringing a med bed on to Indiana, there's a link at the bottom to support that. Contact details, and if you wanted a consult. And again, the next General Assembly is next week, February 19th, and the next Jural Assembly is February 26th. And then the rest of the slides are more of helping you to keep the reminder of what information, training, studying to be able to help support you. So let's see if we can switch over to, let's see if there's, I'm still not seeing any comments there. Okay, let's see how to do Telegram to bring Joe in. Why doesn't that little thing stay up? Okay. Allow to speak.
Look at that!
Yay!
Wow. I really like Telegram. Its accessibility is pretty streamlined, you know.
Right.
And and the recording is really crisp and all that good stuff. So Great stuff, Christine. I got to tell you, I mean, you're no stranger to accolades headed your way. And I just say, with the recordings that you provide and the information within those recordings, if all of these state coordinators would add your recordings part of their inventory, I would imagine a lot of these states would be even more further along than they are now. So I just want to put that out there.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, it's great. And you know, I'm thinking about adding your resources to my link tree, just so you'll know.
Go right ahead.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Just the fact that you're reliable, extremely thorough. So there's that. So absolutely great. I don't want to keep you on here too long. I know we got a call coming up tonight here in about an hour, but if you can, just for 20 minutes, go ahead and try to screen share the KTF site if you don't mind. I want to try to help the listeners and anybody else who's on the call as well how to more readily provide questions and comments, not only to our email, but also on our forum.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay? Background noise and travel.
Yeah, there is a little bit, but I've got an echo too, so it's all good. We can still hear, or I can still hear you anyway. I'm getting this loaded here.
I don't hear an echo, so hopefully your recording don't
Okay.
hear too much of an echo.
All right. Are you able to see it?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Cool. I'm working everything well.
Yeah, great. Yeah, kudos also to Telegram. That's pretty nifty. So if you go all the way to the bottom, Christine, that's kind of where we're going here. We're gonna bounce off of the site as you go to the footer of the website here. Go all the way down. Okay. And do you see the blogger in the bottom? The section in the middle?
Blog. Here. On the
Yeah,
left.
the
Or the little thingy down there with the B.
Yeah.
That one. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So we've added more accessibility to this site. And if you would like, right there, right underneath the KTF logo, you can see where people can follow. Just a quick follow there. I don't know if you have to have an account. I don't believe so, but the blogger is wide open.
Oh, right now it's only pulling up my husband, so I'll have to do a minute where I can change it to where it's.
Sure. You know, and that's just a way to help get familiar and show at least a visual support. You know, who we might see in the comment section, just to help get familiar.
Right.
Not only with that, but just it's a little bit of an asset for us to be able to at least offer that to our readers. You know. And at the top, there's a subscribe feature, so if anybody wants to help themselves and condense their news feed, you can also subscribe, and then you see follow.it, which is an upgrade to the old FeedBurner application that's been around for decades. It's pretty infamous for a great way to gather together all of your particular news feeds.
Okay.
So there's that. If anybody wants that, and that would include this site as well. But as people may know, the magazine site, Peacekeeping Task Force magazine site, does not offer a commentary, an open commentary. There's numerous ways to contact us and enroll and stay abreast of things that are taking place, services and all of these other education, but no way to comment as of yet. And the reason why we did that is just not to overwhelm the server with excess commentary and everything that would litter the pages and whatnot.
Right.
And eventually we will offer that. So, but we do offer that, and we encourage those comments, questions that we've been asking for. So here's just another way to offer that or provide that to our readers. And if you go and you look at each article that's here, you'll notice certain articles that you'll also see on the KTF News site.
Okay.
Well, these articles typically come before a full featured article on the DKTF News site. So they kind of work in tandem, where readers who aren't subscribed in the future to the magazine can still access content that's on the magazine site in the future, but they can comment. See, that's the thing. I mean, you can every one of these articles here you can actually comment on. See that? See at the bottom of each article.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
In a
Right.
yeah in
And
that.
And you can share as well as a quick share if people want to have to spread the word. And that's the other thing, that subscribing to this site helps to more easily share across multiple platforms. You know, people use Facebook or whatever. So I guess X, as it's called now, or Twitter, you know, easier way to share.
Mm-hmm.
Follow.it is probably the highest quality, most advanced newsfeed conglomerate application that I've ever seen.
So that's another one I got to work out.
Oh yeah, it's really good. If you're familiar with FeedBurner, or if you go and look that up, it's worldwide famous for really user-friendly way to condense all of your newsfeed in one location.
Okay.
And follow.it kind of thumbs its nose and says, FeedBurner, you're out of it. But we're so much better now. But whatever.
Right.
However you want to decipher that. But so we've offered that just as another way to help our readers, those who are pursuing what the Peacekeeping Task Force provides, all over the world. This is the best way to really get comments out and to reply to us directly, and reply to each other. You know, as long as it remains respectful, of course. That's what we're all about.
Right. Right.
Now we haven't had any inquiries coming in from Indiana as of yet, but most of the questions that we are coming through our email, our separate office email. So if you go to the very bottom of this page here, you can scroll down, and this is the last thing I'll show you here. Very, very, very bottom, and right there, you can send your comments or questions right there. Quickly, easily. We want to make it as expeditious as possible in order to get questions to us.
Right.
And I gotta say, Christine, if anybody frequents your work, it shouldn't have very many questions. I mean, come on now, it's crazy. It's a breath of fresh air to have such a thorough overlay of everything. So,
Well, but it's still, you can lead a horse to water, but you still can't make them drink till they're ready.
well,
know.
but that's the thing. Your work and others similar to yours help set that reservoir. It leaves it there in place. You know, the beauty and convenience of recording, and a place where to find those recordings. So you're definitely laying the groundwork. It's not falling to the wayside. Eventually, folks will come, and that's the reason why I'd like to showcase your work on my link tree.
Absolutely.
And it will also be a part of my business card. On the back of the PKTF News business cards, there'll be a QR reference code, quick reference code that goes directly to our link tree.
Okay.
And if you like, we can place that in your resources to that same link.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, and of course, questions become articles eventually.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
that's so great about. Yeah, that's what's so great about folks sending us questions. Inevitably, we will have questions. It just depends on the scenario, perhaps.
Right.
And built upon what information like what you share, inevitably provides those questions. And we're willing to work through each one of those questions, and again, add that to our frequently asked questions with answers provided.
Right.
And articles.
Exciting.
So if there are no questions, if anybody's on the call now, then
I'm not
you should
seeing
expect-
any
You should
comments.
expect people at some point saying, you know what, Christine, thank you for all your hard work. By the way, I've listened to every one of your recordings over the many months, twice, 3 times over, and I'm ready to step up.
Well, I am getting the free conference call playback reports. I'm getting
Yeah.
regularly, so I know there are those that are going in and listening to the playback. So,
Yeah, you have to love those analytics.
right?
It
Yes.
really helps out. Yeah, that helps to know that people are listening.
And it helps to
And
make sure I'm putting the right links in and everything too, that they're actually getting there.
all right, and so folks who are listening to the replays, do kind of return a little bit of feedback, to Christina to let her know, hey, this is great stuff, or whatever you're working on. We understand, we realize that it takes a while. It's a learning curve, and it's a process. So as you're building your notes and your knowledge base, just kind of send Christina a message back saying, great job, great job. Keep going, keep on going. We need you. So this is a perfect example of a really admired coordinator, folks.
Thank you.
In my opinion. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, and it's because I've had great leaders, definitely, or I wouldn't
yeah.
be.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. So give us a follow and send us comments, questions to the bottom section, and folks, we'll see you on the least we can do is provide those answers, and then add that to materials such as what you're providing, Christine.
Well, and it's great, and that shows how when more like minds come together, how it can start coming together, and we can see the picture.
Right. Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, because
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Christine, I picture it's just as easy as it will be inevitably. A lecture hall, the slanted lecture halls with chairs and the professor at the bottom with a huge chalkboard, blackboard, sliders, and large screens, and they're providing instructions. That's how eventually, our higher education institutions will provide that same atmosphere. And that's how I see how your delivery seems to be. Maybe I'm embellishing a bit, but I don't in my own mind, but I don't think so. That's what I like. And that's what I liked about college. It's a really great space to learn, to be amongst my student body, and a great professor, and just an atmosphere for learning.
Right.
So
That's the key.
Just short of that physical space, you provide that atmosphere in the digital world here. In due time, maybe you'll get that opportunity. Be our next Indiana professor somewhere, Indiana University.
I'm already seeing it.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you for everything that you do, and if there's no questions, I guess that's all I have for now.
Well, that's where I don't see any. I haven't seen anybody post, but hopefully they're at least listening. But they'll be able to get a lot of great information through the recording playback. So hopefully we'll get some comments as well from that. Well, thank you, Joe, for taking the time to be with us. And so now we've been able to figure out all the little tips and tricks. I figured out if I upload stuff into the broadcaster for free conference call, it helps to make sure that everything is viewable that way as well. So
right, and I have to configure my Telegram to do the same as what you have here. I've been on calls like this through T.me, and it's really great, I think.
Yeah, I've really picked it up pretty quickly. I'm not that I would be surprised, but I am. But given everything else, so
Yeah. You can do audio only too. I've seen.
right.
Yeah. Great.
But I have a hard time with that.
Okay.
Not that I like. It's not that I like to be on camera so much as it's to see each other.
I like to be, but right now I'm behind the wheel, heading towards Lexington, Kentucky, on my way to Groveport, Ohio.
Oh, well, be safe.
Yeah, the storm is right. I'm in the middle of it, but it's not snowing just yet. As the weather report says, 4 to 6 inches in my area of snow. But
Be careful.
you know how it is.
Yes.
You know how it is.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, you be safe. And we'll go ahead and wrap things up. Again, the next General Assembly call is the 19th of February on Monday at 6 p.m. And then the next Jural Assembly is the 26th. So I wanna thank everyone for taking the time, and even if it's coming back to listen to the recordings, and hopefully we'll be able to start, maybe we can see about finding a day and a time that might work out better for other schedule to be able to come and join us. So I want to thank you all, and peace and love. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Christine.
Thank you.